Well, that just happened. Hey everybody, and welcome to Bismuth. And I'm dead inside!
No, we are not doing that again. Even if this episode is somehow sadder than the last one.
This episode is a half-hour special that introduces a gem that has never before been mentioned, Bismuth. Who would have guessed? Definitely not from the title. What? No way. What are you talking about? I'm totally not using terrible comedy to cover up my utter despair.
Much like with holiday specials, Steven Universe seemed to always have a strange aversion to half-hour-long episodes. I don't know why, they've done two-part stories before, so it would make sense for them to just make a full 22-minute-long thing eventually. Okay, I'll just admit it. I'm totally just making up random rambly stuff to stall so that we don't have to start the episode. How about this? To help make this episode go down easier, how about we look at some adorable kittens first? Yay!
Oh my goodness!
She's watching the end of the episode, just so you know.
Steven and the Crystal Gems are all playing a video game at the beginning of the episode, giving you the illusion that it's going to be fun. And Lion keeps trying to tear apart Steven's Thunderbird shirt.
At least he isn't trying to tear apart Steven's emotions.
He ends up putting it into Lion's mane, and guess what? Guess who? It's Bismuth.
Ooh, special title.
Pretty.
Hang on a sec.
Don't stay in there too long, Steven. You're missing the credits. Don't you know how rare an opportunity it is for you to get to see the names of your own show staff floating in front of your face?
Steven Croniverse. Woot woot. So Steven describes the gem as best he can, and he ends up bringing her out of Lion's mane and into the temple.
After some introductions, we find out that Bismuth knew many other crystal gems besides Pearl and Garnet.
And where is everybody else? The rest of the crystal gems! Oh, Crazy Lace, Big, Snowflake!
And all of them are gone.
Homeworld's final attack on Earth wiped out all of the crystal gems.
That must be the same attack we saw in Monster Reunion.
How many of us did they shatter? Crazy Lace? Biggs? Snowflake?
Yes, you just said those same three names a few minutes ago. We get the idea.
The Crystal Gems tell Bismuth that Homeworld is still attacking Earth, and Bismuth says that that's good because she thought that she'd never get a chance to show those upper crusts who's boss. Then she rams the axe she was holding down, and I think it's here where you kind of start to see that maybe, just maybe, Bismuth's got some problems. A little violent, maybe needs some anger management classes. Give her a squeeze ball instead of handing her an axe.
We head to Bismuth's forge, where we find out that she used to make weaponry for the crystal gems. She upgrades Pearl and Garnet's weapons, but Amethyst remains confused, wondering why she never heard about this gem that Pearl and Garnet are so excited about. But even she gets distracted by spiky things.
We cut back to the temple where Bismuth and the gems spar. But when Steven is asked if he wants to spar, he instead shows Bismuth some of the things he likes to do, which consists of watching Lonely Blade, cooking, and playing cards.
Later that night, Steven and Bismuth talk, with Bismuth encouraging Steven to be better than Rose simply by being himself. So to recap, Bismuth has so far been a pretty fun and likable character, even if she can be a little violent. She's peppy, she's enthusiastic, she makes jokes, and in general, wants more than anything to help her team succeed. Well, that's the end of the episode. Hope you enjoyed watching us talk about it.
Bye! Thanks for watching! We'll see you in the next one, baby! Yay!
I designed this sword for a fair fight.
The episode's over. Why are we still showing footage?
In an instant!
We can't hide from the facts anymore, Cobalt. We gotta do it! We gotta finish it! So let's go!
Bismuth and Steven head down to the forge again, and this time it's to show off a brand new weapon. See, Bismuth doesn't see Homeworld as an enemy that fights fair, so this new weapon is designed to help even the playing field, so to speak. It's called the Breaking Point, and and it's the weapon that, according to her, would have won the war.
And it's specifically designed to shatter gems, which obviously is very problematic to Steven and every other person watching the show. The argument between Steven and Bismuth begins on whether or not this weapon is humane to use. Or, well, I guess it should be gem-mane? You know, because they're not human. You know what? Somebody else will come up with a better sounding word than me. I'm not witty enough to be able to come up with anything that sounds good.
Now you look like you really mean Bismuth.
She used the joke a third time! It wasn't funny!
At this point, no pun intended, I think it's useful to point out some of the differences between gems and humans. Because gems don't have physical bodies, most of the fights between them involve poofing them so their bodies disappear into their gems. This doesn't permanently kill them off, but simply puts them in something like suspended animation for some time. So this weapon, which shatters gems and makes it so that they can't ever reform, is basically the first real murder weapon to exist for a gem. Of course, for humans, every weapon is like the breaking point. So while this might not have been as shocking if a human made it, yeah, this is pretty disturbing to see coming from a gem. This is actually a pretty clever way of talking about an unethical weapon without making something too terrifying for a young audience.
Bismuth gets upset that Steven doesn't want to use the weapon, and when Steven says it's not right, Bismuth starts to suspect that Steven is actually rose quartz. Ha! What a surprise! Another gem that thinks Steven is rose.
Rose.
A fight erupts, with Bismuth saying that the crystal gems would have won the war had they used the breaking point like she wanted them to. And it's clear that Bismuth and Rose had two very different goals when it came to what qualified as winning the war. Rose seemed to be mainly interested in protecting Earth, but Bismuth pretty much wanted a complete overthrow of the Diamond Authority, even if it meant committing murder in order to get there. And as interesting as this talk of shattering diamonds is, we're going to save it for a future video. So for now, we're just going to say murder is wrong and get on with our day. We'll get back to this later.
So after Steven and Bismuth fight for a while, Bismuth attempts to use the breaking point on Steven, but Steven instead stabs Bismuth with Rose Quartz's sword. Bismuth then starts having a breakdown in front of Steven, and then the end of the emotional scene is where Steven says that he will tell everyone what happened. And then, Bismuth poofs.
Steven tells the gems about what happened, and Bismuth gets to live in the bubble room. And that's the end. Oh boy, was this an episode. They definitely picked an interesting character to base a half-hour special around, and they use her to her fullest, most depressing potential. The episode is very cleverly written, and even includes several moments that you won't even realize are hints to the future until you watch the episode a second time. Honestly, the only thing I'm sad about, besides everything, is that a lot of the implications of the argument between Bismuth and Steven are things we can't discuss yet, because the last few episodes of Season 3 are what really make them interesting. So stay tuned for that, and be prepared for this fight scene to haunt our souls forever and ever. This gets a 4.3 out of 5.
This episode definitely tops a lot of the other ones previous to it. As a half-hour special, the quality and writing of the content of the episode is a lot more impressive than it is in normal episodes you see aired. In the average 11-minute episodes of Steven Universe, they have to cram an entire storyline into that short time, and they can't expand upon different traits as much as they can in the standard 22 minutes. Seeing Steven Universe in a standard length episode definitely allows the creators to have more freedom, and it shows through. You can really get to know Bismuth within a half an hour, and the plotline can also be written out to flow a lot more smoothly compared to an 11-minute episode, and it makes the experience a lot more impactful and enjoyable. They can really convey a lot more in a longer time frame, and it makes for a very interesting episode. I would give it a 4.6 out of 5, and I would give it an 11 out of 10 for feels, because wow, is this episode sad! Anyway, thank you one and all for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one. Bye!